I'm Leah. I'm going to be moderating today. My pronouns are she and hers. I'm currently a student at UBC, so I'm experiencing this switch to online learning from the student's perspective, which is a really interesting one this year. This is Edify Learning Spaces webinar on how to combat burnout through gratitude. So welcome. This is the third of 10 webinars in Edify's SEL certification program, SEL certification program. And this will be recorded and it is being broadcast on Facebook Live, but please be assured that none of your names are being recorded, none of your comments or chat are being recorded. We do value your privacy. And please ask questions as we go. We really encourage chatting and questions, and I will answer what I can. Priya will answer what she can. Anam, any questions you post for her, I'll ask her at the end. And if we don't get to any of those, we'll cover them in a follow-up email. Thank you so much for being here. I'm going to pass over to Priya. She's going to introduce Edify itself. And our speaker for today was Anam Zaidi.
Thank you so much, Leah. Leah's a wonderful moderator, and we're so happy to have her here again for one of our webinars. I'm Priya Transgard, and I'm the founder of Edify Learning Spaces. We are joining you from unceded territory of Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations. My pronouns are she and hers. Edify Learning Spaces matches you up to the best tutors. So one of the things that we want to talk about today is gratitude. A new study by Charlesworth and Waddell researched mental health and the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic on children. They found there was an increase of anxiety, depression, behavioral issues, and post-traumatic stress akin to or worse than after natural disasters. Those with underlying anxiety and depression saw an increase of up to 10-fold. Again, during the pandemic, I saw my neurodivergent kids doing well with one-on-one support and SEL programs. So we decided at Edify to help the teachers with SEL training sessions. And our teachers are experts. They're chosen as experts in their field of study, and they are certified teachers, and they've shown years of experience or math or science. So one of the reasons why I started Edify is I have a background in psychology, and having two neurodivergent children and working in and around the education field with learners between the ages of 3 to 97 years old has taught me that socio emotional learning is a key foundation to learning. And socio emotional learning is, I feel, important because you can unlock your emotions, you can increase your academic score, which is probably one of the great byproducts, but you can also decrease challenging behavior, and you can increase self-confidence. Which brings me to how I found our guest speaker, Anam Zaidi. I was searching for SEL experts. I noticed that Anam's work in the field of socio-emotional learning in the K-12 domain has been featured in the Huffington Post, the Times of India, and the Greater Good Science Center out of UC Berkeley. Her work experience includes working with the world's largest school, the City Montessori School, which has 65,000 students, where she collaborated with the Finnish National Board of Education, Teachers Without Borders, the Center for Innovation in Education out of the States. Zaidi has also been a regular guest speaker for courses in strength-based education programs at the University of Washington. And remarkably, Zaidi still co-manages a safe home for survivors of human trafficking. And she's also self-constructed 2 literacy labs in the slums of Lucknow in India. And her most recent experience has been setting up a behavior change unit for India's first online life skill platform, Harappa Education. And you're joining us from Vancouver. So thank you so much for being here, Anam.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Do you see our slide here about the current state of teacher caregiver burnout? I thought you would be a good person to talk to everyone about this because we are feeling burnt out.
Sure. First of all, thanks a lot, Priya, for that kind words and introduction. It's always a privilege and to speak on behalf of Edify, which I think is an organization doing a lot for the social emotional needs of kids, and especially at this time. And yes, I'm very excited about this particular topic because it's something that I'm very passionate about, especially in such times with burnout being there in newspapers and articles, and especially for educators. I think recently I read a survey that was conducted by the CBC News Network, where they interviewed around 200 teachers across Canada. And what was alarming for me to notice was that 164 teachers out of the 200 teachers were considering a change in profession. Now, from a psychologist's point of view, this is a big red flag of burnout. And almost 1/3 of the teachers in that group, if they were nearing retirement, was seeking early retirement. So this is definitely a big red flag for our educators, who are one of the most passionate vocations, asking for an emergency exit in such times. So it's more relevant that we talk about this topic. And I think the one essential step to combat burnout is changing your perspective to things. And perspective taking requires one foundational skill, and that is gratitude. So we're going to talk about gratitude today and how it's so specific to educators, especially in such times. I know there are a lot of scientific definitions around. Pinterest is full of quotable quotes on gratitude, especially in the season of Thanksgiving. But we have to understand what it simply means to us in our personal life. So, simply put, gratitude is that mental tool we use to remind ourselves of the good stuff. It's a spotlight that we may shine on people and things that add goodness to our lives. I personally like to imagine gratitude to be this bright red paintbrush that we stroke over on otherwise invisible blessings, like a clean street, personal health, having food on the table, or maybe just having a roof over my head. So, gratitude, I feel, is a choice we make. It doesn't come naturally to us. It's an attitude we adopt. It's an approach towards life that we want to eventually embrace. So, it's best to consider gratitude as a moment to moment celebration of your life and the life of others around you. How does gratitude help? I mean, everyone says, I know it's a good thing, but how does it actually help me? It's important to understand the visible impact a skill like gratitude could make in your life. Let me make it very clear from the beginning itself. Gratitude doesn't make problems and threats disappear. We can lose jobs. We can get panic attacks. We can get sick. The threats are indeed real, but in that moment, it is me who's the threat. I'm worrying myself to death. That's when I need to turn on gratitude. If I do that enough, research suggests that gratitude might just become a habit for me. Now, what will that mean for me? It means that it will increase my chances of psychologically surviving hard times, and that I stand a chance to be happier in the good times. Remember, I'm not ignoring the threats. I'm appreciating the resources and people that might help me face that particular threat. That's the lens that gratitude brings in your life. So, what good does gratitude do to our mental health and our physical health? Grateful people will have 10% fewer stress related illnesses. Um, they are in more satisfying relationships, and they're more liked in the community. Grateful people, on an average, give around 20% of their earnings to charity. And I thought that was very interesting. The researchers have gone into the specifics, saying that grateful youth are 10% unlikely to get into drugs and smoking. And what Priya just mentioned about academic grades, I found a research which said they're 20% more likely to get A grades. So next time you look at your kid's report card, maybe gratitude is the solution. So we see that gratitude has really helped in different ways, and it contributes to our mental and physical well-being. With my work with educators across different cultures, across different globes, I felt the honor and privilege to work with some very resilient educators and school leaders. And the one thing that stood these educators apart from everybody, was that they were grateful beings in their personal and professional life. And I had the opportunity to work with them or to shadow them. So today I'm going to share some of the few common traits that stood out in these educators across different cultures, across different countries. And I hope it can help you in some way. So grateful educators, grateful people, they think about loss. They also think about death. Didn't see that coming, did you? I'm not just being perverse. Contemplating endings really does make you more grateful for the life you currently have, according to several studies. For example, Araceli and colleagues asked people to actually visualize their own death. And they reported that the gratitude of those participants measurably increased. Imagining a sudden disappearance of a particular positive event can actually increase your level of gratitude. The point is, absence may just make your heart more grateful. They take time to smell the roses. Uh, these educators, they also smell the coffee, the bread baking in the oven, the aroma of a new car, whatever gives them pleasure. Loyola University psychologist Dr. Fred found this amazing research where he said that savoring positive experiences makes it stickier in your brain and it increases the benefits to your entire psyche. So not only being grateful, but savoring that event deeply and living it actually helps you build the gratitude habit faster and better. They aren't setting up inherent expectations. They take the good things as gifts. What's the opposite of gratitude? Entitlement. The attitude that people owe you something just because you're so special. The antidote to entitlement to see that we did not create ourselves. We were created, if not by evolution, then by God. If not by God, then by our parents. Likewise, we're never fully self-sufficient as human beings. Humans need other people to grow our food, heal our injuries. We need love. And for that, we need family, partners, friends, colleagues, pets. Seeing with grateful eyes requires that we see how we're so interconnected in this world and how we actually cherish the aspect that we alternate between being the giver and being the receiver. A humble person may say that life is a gift to be grateful for, and it's not just a right to be claimed. So this is something that stood out in all educators. Yes, and then the next one was they're grateful to people and not just things. So people versus things, right? Experiences that heighten meaningful connection with others, like noticing how another person has helped you, acknowledging their effort, savoring how you benefited from it, actually tells your brain to activate systems of trust and affection alongside the circuits of pleasure and reward. When you say thank you to people in a deeper sense, your brain feels that there's something positive happening. And with this positive event, you're being richly immersed in a meaningful society. The community well-being sense that the brain gets activates many good hormones in your body.
I actually am going to launch a poll.
Oh.
Yes. If you go, there are 3 questions. The first question is, where are you joining in from? And the second one is, do you think gratitude can help with burnout? And right at the end of this slide, what are some things you are grateful for? Wow, I see a lot of outdoor time, fresh air and sunshine is something you're grateful for. And we even have people attending from the United States, even though it's Thanksgiving weekend. Thank you very much for coming. I see that people are grateful for physical activity and their health. Spending time with a friend is up there. And we'll just leave another 30 seconds for the polling. And this will be the last set of questions before the end of the presentation. And Leah will take some more later. All right. So we're coming in on 5 seconds, and I'm going to end the poll right there. I'm going to share the results.
Wow. It's amazing how maximum amount of people voted spending time with a friend. And that's, wow.
And that's so hard to do right now.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so that's perfect timing for the end of that slide. Unless you had something else to add, Anam?
No, I think this is brilliant that we're focusing on meaningful relationships and people. It just proves my point. There's action research for you right there, that poll result. Grateful educators are habitually specific. I mean, when I interacted with them, they never said, "Oh, I love my job because it's just so wonderfully wonderful and I love it." Instead, the really skilled, grateful educators would say, "I love my job because it gives me a platform every day to interact with different people, and I can use that learning in my personal experience." The reason for this of being specific is pretty simple. It makes the expression look authentic. It reveals that the thanker was not actually paying attention and was not just going through the motion. So, the richest thank yous, the best gratitudes should include intention, the intention of the giver, the effort that the other person put for you, and the benefits that effort and intention reap for you as a person. So that actually is being much more specific and making sure that your feelings are conveyed to the giver. They thank outside the box. We're graduating from basic to advanced gratitude. So pay attention here. It's easy to feel grateful for the good things. No one feels grateful that he or she has lost a job or a home or is not in good health. In such moments, gratitude becomes a critical cognitive process, a way of thinking about the world that can help us turn disaster into a stepping stone. If we're willing to look, we can find a reason to be grateful even to people and situations that have harmed us. I mean, think of the boss that overwhelms you with work every day. When you zone out of that moment, you see that he is helping you develop an ability to face challenges on an everyday basis, and your capacity of dealing them skillfully is increasing day by day. So maybe walking out from a bad relationship, actually, when you look back in retrospect, it taught you a lot about who you were as a person and what you wanted as a person. So transforming an obstacle into an opportunity, it means reframing a loss into a potential gain. I saw a lot of teachers having and experiencing burnout, and they said, wait a second, the same job that's giving me so much stress was the job I would have yearned for as an intern 10 years back. The fact that I have my own office of 45 children just listening to me would be anybody's dream. And having that realization in the moment of maximum stress, or in the moment when you're being overwhelmed by the school principal with a lot of work, I thought gave me a lot of perspective to my life, because a person who had all the reasons to complain was able to tell the brain, I'm going to focus on the real reason why I came here, and keep doing that on an everyday basis and not losing the essence for it, was actually where grateful educators stood apart from the rest of educators. So we've spoken about the personal traits that grateful educators practice and they imbibe in their life. And now how can we take this aspect of gratitude and introduce it to our staff members, to our students? I'm going to highlight some of the practices that we did in different schools that were successful, and I'm hoping that you can implement them even if your classes are remote right now. So one of the basic criterias of introducing SEL practices in schools for me was, I'm not going to go to the students first. I'm going to do that practice with the adults, the staff members, the teachers. And when they can see value of that practice in their personal lives, that will be contagious enough for them to take it to the classroom and tell the children about it. So it was always trying to make that meaningful difference with the adults and then sitting back and knowing that they would take it forward to the kids. So rituals like rosebud thorn was something that we started in all our staff meetings. After our entire weekly staff meetings and daily meetings, teachers were asked to talk about one good thing that happened. That was the rose of their day. But one thing that they're looking forward to in the next day, because a part of gratitude is always looking forward for the blessings that may come in your life that you may not know about it. And thorn, we were acknowledging the kind of stress or any particular threat or obstacle they faced in their day. So, this gave a holistic perspective to everyone in the staff room, saying that every person had a good thing as well as had a battle that they had to fight it out. So we did this, and the children were very excited when the teachers introduced this because throughout the day, they knew that at the end of their school day, they would have to tell the entire class about Rosebud and Thorn. So it somehow felt that the ears were up to look out for the rose aspects or for the bud aspects. Just doing that subconsciously was actually helping them look at things in a more grateful lens. Gratitude letters. I'm sure you've read about this a lot. It's everywhere, but just basic components. We asked teachers to write great gratitude letters and we asked students to write gratitude letters. The component here is being able to verbalize your feelings and emotions. And it's not important always to have that letter and go read it out to that person, because there were people that were grateful for other people in their lives that were no more in the world today. They were grateful for some celebrities or personal role models, public figures that they didn't get an opportunity to personally go and read the letter. But the science has proved that it's actually not reading it to the receiver that makes that much of a difference to the brain, but actually taking time to acknowledge just the goodness of one person and how it impacted your life can greatly open up a lot of gratitude lenses for you. So I really suggest, especially in such times, to have an activity of just thinking of that one college professor or one teacher in school or anybody, and inviting your students to write a letter to this person. And it's about the positive words people put in these letters that actually impact their psyche. Piggy bank of blessings. I wanted to percolate the sense of gratitude in everything that the school did. So we had these uh, pots, these piggy banks placed in classrooms across, and there was a basket which had these chits which printed out, "I'm grateful for." The students and the teachers were asked that at any point of time when they see that they experience gratitude, it could be any point of time in the school, they just need to pick a chit, write it down, don't write your names, and put it in. And we encourage teachers to do the same activity randomly in the classroom when she felt like or he felt like, because it gave the message to the students that the adult in the classroom also thinks this is an important activity. So they got more engaged. And at the end of each month, as you can see in these photographs, they used to break it down. That was the most exciting part for the students there. And without names, they were just reading aloud all the blessings, all the things they were grateful for in the whole month. And it was very interesting to watch this from the back, because it was seeing that there was one chit that said, "I'm grateful for my PlayStation." And the next chit said that, "I'm grateful for having a warm home cooked meal in my bag." And that just made everyone realize, wait, even I had a warm home cooked meal, but I never thought it's something to be grateful for. So that sense of perspective that came at the end of each month was it was a very valuable lesson to be learned by both teachers and students. Gratitude journal, everyone's heard of how you should write 3 things that you're most grateful for. We actually helped make a template and give it to students to help them write what they were grateful for. We did a survey where we calculated the level of stress of teachers, and then gave them a gratitude journal. And post 1 month, when we gave that survey, 70% of them had increased in their level of their ability to deal with stress better, just about by dealing with gratitude as a habit for a whole 1 month. And the beauty about gratitude journals, which is not very well elicited in different literatures, is that when you look back at your life a year ago, a month ago, 5 years ago, through this gratitude journal, your brain is just focusing on all the good that you went through. And that reduces the negativity bias that we have as humans. Just looking back at your life and saying, every single day I had something that made me smile, and I made sure I savored that moment. Having that perspective, especially on low days when you're highly anxious or you may have be coming close to a panic attack, flipping through this journal has been very, very valuable. So really, I for this holiday, I think everyone should get a gratitude journal and at least give it a try over 4 weeks, and you will see a visible difference. Thank you.
Okay.
So Anam, with this gratitude as a habit that people are building, if it's new to them, where would you suggest they start with these exercises?
So I think the rose, thorn, bud technique is very simple. It's just 3 things that you may tell someone at the family dinner or to yourself. And it just takes a minute, for sure. And I feel that these are gratitude letters may be a high intense activity. Gratitude journals may be something that requires me to fill every single day. So I may not be able to do that. But I think the rose thorn bud technique is something we can immediately apply, and it requires very minimal effort from our side.
Perfect, thank you. And I have a question about gratitude across different cultures and the way that different people look at gratitude.
So there are different researchers that talk about this, and what they've done primarily is divided the world into 2 kinds of cultures, collectivistic and individualistic. And I feel that diversity in itself, it's so varied and colorful that we cannot put everyone in the box of black and white. But early researchers showed that collectivistic cultures focus more on gratitude, that's more focused on relationships and connections, of building friendships, of having family in your life. Whereas there were individualistic cultures that focused on personal accomplishments or on things more. Language plays a massive role here. There are certain cultures which I think Canadian and American cultures say thank you a lot verbally, but that does not translate to them having more gratitude than other cultures. There are some cultures that may not verbally express gratitude, but their perspective of looking at things is much more higher when it comes to other cultures that may verbally express. There's also a sense of concrete gratitude, which I think came from the holiday seasons, is reciprocating gratitude through gifts or through some tangible things. And people have viewed that as also a level of gratitude, that I was so thankful to this person that I gifted him this particular thing. So it's interesting to know the kinds of gratitudes that are emerging across different countries, and how language and personal values of that culture play a big role. So yeah.
Thank you. And we have a question just in the Q&A section. And again, if anybody has questions, please throw them at us. And yes, the webinar is being recorded, so it will be available afterwards. Priya, where will the webinar be available for people to view after this is done?
So if they're signed up for the SEL certification course, we will send it to you. But also you can go to the Edify Learning Spaces webinar page. So if you go to www.edifylearningspaces.com and then you click on webinar, you should be able to get a recording there.
Thank you.
And if all else fails, just email me, Priya at edifylearningspaces.com. But we should be able to get that to you through a newsletter, so you can sign up as well. I thought that was really lovely, Anam, everything that you were talking about. And I'm going to even go back and review some of the things because there were so many nuggets of information.
Yeah, so many fantastic exercises.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I think even with Rosebud Thorn, like I would probably try to adapt that to my kids and what language they're using, and try to think of it that way, because I don't know if Rosebud Thorn would really connect with my 5-year-old son. So I'm gonna think about some ways for me.
That's actually a good idea.
Yeah, it would connect with my daughter for sure. She's a lot older, but I think that we could make it our own. And I think that idea of something to look forward to, something grateful for, and then something real that's happening, that's prickly. So I thought that was really great. And I think your slides were great, Anam. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and thanks everybody for being here.
Yes, and Leah, thank you to you too. And then, and because it's gratitude, I want to thank everybody for coming, and you're here. The people who have signed up for this webinar are here because they care, and they're striving to make a positive change and impact in their lives as well as someone else's. And so I think that's my specific thank you, because people who are signing up for this webinar are doing that to make a big change, positive change in their lives. And I'm very thankful for that. And spread the word and spread the joy, and share this information that we have at Edify. And I'm very thankful for that. So thank you to everybody for coming to our third webinar. We will have another webinar in 2021. And sign up for our newsletter to find out. But we are very excited about our next guest speaker, who will be talking about preteen girls and how to build their self-confidence in the age of social media. So we're very excited about our next guest speaker, Ramita Anand of Elevate RA, who will be joining us from Singapore. So we're very excited about that, and to hear about her experiences out of London, England. Okay, well, thank you very much again, and we will be in touch by email or newsletter. And thank you again to everyone. Have a great day.